The giant ship named Dauntless slowed as it reached its target, a planet circling the star Proxima Centauri. After 20 years of travel through the cold emptiness of space, the ship's systems hummed with new activity. Inside, 5,000 people prepared for their new life. Captain Han Sung stood on the bridge, his eyes fixed on the view screen. The planet below looked like a blue and green jewel against the blackness of space. After 2 decades in charge of humanity's first trip to another star, Han felt a mix of pride and worry. "Beautiful, isn't it?" said Dr. Kim Sun as she joined him at the view screen. As the head scientist on the mission, she had spent years studying this planet from afar. Now she was finally seeing it with her own eyes. "Yes, it is," Han agreed. "Are the final scans complete? Is it safe to land?" Kim nodded, her short black hair bobbing with the movement. "The air is breathable. Gravity is 93% of Earth's. Temperature ranges are within human comfort levels. There are no signs of large predators or dangerous microbes." She smiled. "It's as if it's been waiting for us." Han wasn't so sure. 20 years ago, when the Dauntless had left Earth, the world had been on the edge of another resource war. This colony was humanity's backup plan, a new start on a new world. But Han knew from history that new lands often held hidden dangers. "Captain," called a deep voice from across the bridge. Commander Park Jin approached with a tablet in his hand. His military uniform was always perfectly pressed, even after 2 decades in space. "We need to talk about the landing plan." Park had served in the Earth Unification Wars before joining the colony mission. His experience made him cautious, sometimes too cautious in Han's opinion. "What's your concern, Commander?" Han asked. "These energy readings from the northern continent," Park said, showing Han the tablet screen. "They're unusual. We should investigate before we commit to a landing spot." Dr. Kim frowned. "Those are just natural phenomena, possibly magnetic field variations or mineral deposits. We've already selected the perfect landing site near the equator. The soil is right for farming, there's fresh water, and the terrain is flat for building." "With respect, Doctor," Park said firmly, "unknown energy readings could mean unknown threats. We should send a small team to check first." Han looked between his 2 most trusted advisors. Kim was brilliant but sometimes too eager. Park was skilled but sometimes saw danger where there was none. After 20 years in space, Han had learned to balance their views. "We'll proceed with the main landing as planned," Han decided. "But I want defensive systems set up first, and a small scout team to check those energy readings within the first week." Park nodded, accepting the compromise. Kim smiled, happy they wouldn't delay settlement. "Tell the colonists to prepare for landing," Han ordered. "We touch down in 12 hours." The landing shuttles descended through fluffy white clouds. Inside the lead shuttle, Engineer Lee Jun checked the landing systems one last time. Lee had designed many of the colony's buildings and infrastructure. Now it was time to see if they would work on this new world. "Systems are green," Lee reported. "All shuttles on course." The shuttles touched down on a wide grassy plain. When the doors opened, the colonists smelled fresh air for the first time in 20 years. Many cried. Some knelt and touched the soil. A few just stood in silence, looking at the open sky above them. Han stepped out of the lead shuttle and addressed the gathering crowd. "Today, we make history," he said, his voice carrying across the field. "We are the first humans to set foot on a world beyond our solar system. We carry with us the hopes of everyone on Earth. This will be our new home." The colonists cheered. Then they got to work. Within hours, they had set up temporary shelters. By the end of the first day, the basic outline of the colony was taking shape. Large 3D printers began creating building sections from local materials. Solar panels unfurled to capture the light of Proxima Centauri. Farming teams tested the soil and prepared to plant the first crops. Lee supervised the construction of the main colony buildings. As evening approached, the engineer noticed something odd about the ground readings. "Captain Han," Lee called over the comm system. Could you come to the central construction site? There's something you should see. Han arrived to find Lee standing next to a large drilling machine. The drill had stopped about 2 meters into the ground. We hit something, Lee explained. At first I thought it was bedrock, but the scans show it's artificial. Artificial, Han repeated. Are you saying someone built something here? Yes, there's a structure under the ground. It appears to be large, extending at least 1 kilometer in each direction. Han's mind raced. Could it be natural? A cave system with unusual properties? Lee shook his head. No, sir. These are right angles. Uniform material composition. This was built. Han tapped his comm. Dr. Kim, Commander Park, meet me at the central construction site immediately. When Kim and Park arrived, Lee showed them the scan results. Kim's eyes widened with excitement. Park's narrowed with suspicion. We need to excavate immediately, Kim said. This could be evidence of alien civilization. Or it could be a threat, Park countered. We should set up our defensive perimeter before digging any further. Han considered both viewpoints. We'll do both. Commander, continue setting up defenses around the colony. Doctor, prepare a small team to begin careful excavation. Lee, I want you to lead the dig. Go slow and be careful. As the others left to carry out their tasks, Han stared at the ground beneath his feet. After traveling 4.2 light-years, they had expected to find an empty world. Instead, someone, or something, had been here before them. Kang Min sat in the communications center, monitoring signals from the various teams spread across the landing site. As the colony's communications expert, Kang was responsible for keeping everyone connected. A strange pattern on one of her screens caught her attention. It wasn't coming from any of the colony's equipment. The signal was weak, but definitely artificial, coming from somewhere on the planet. Captain Han, she called, I'm picking up an unusual signal. It's not one of ours. Can you trace it? Han asked, his voice tense over the comm. Kang's fingers flew over her controls. It seems to be coming from the northern continent, the same area where we detected those strange energy readings. What kind of signal is it? A message? I don't think so, Kang replied. It's too regular, too mechanical. More like a beacon or an automated system. Record everything, Han ordered, and see if you can decode it. Kang worked through the night, analyzing the mysterious signal. By morning, she had determined it was repeating on a 6-hour cycle. The pattern was complex, not random, but not immediately recognizable as language either. She took her findings to Han, who called a meeting with the colony leadership. So we have an artificial structure under our colony and an unknown signal from the northern continent, Han summarized. They sat around a table in the newly assembled command center. Opinions. The structure must be explored, Kim insisted. Lee's team has already uncovered an entrance point. We can send in drones first to ensure it's safe. And the signal? Han asked. It could be connected to the underground structure, Kang suggested. The timing of the signal cycles matches some of the energy fluctuations we've detected below ground. Park leaned forward. Captain, we need to consider the possibility that this planet was claimed by someone else. Someone who might return. The room fell silent as they considered this. Proceed with caution, Han finally decided. Lee, prepare your team to enter the structure tomorrow. Park, speed up the deployment of our defensive systems. Kang, keep monitoring that signal and try to determine if it's sending information off-planet. As the meeting ended, a young colonist burst into the room. Captain, something's happening in the sky. They rushed outside to see 3 massive objects descending through the atmosphere. Each was at least twice the size of the dauntless asterisk. Their hulls gleamed with a metallic purple sheen unlike any material the humans had seen before. Battle stations, Park shouted into his comm. All civilians to shelter. Defense teams to positions. The colony erupted into controlled chaos as people ran to their assigned emergency locations. The three giant ships slowed their descent and took positions hovering about 5 kilometers above the colony. "Are they going to attack?" Han asked Park. The military commander studied the ships through binoculars. "They've taken position, but haven't deployed weapons. They might be assessing us first." "Kang, try hailing them on all frequencies," Han ordered. Before Kang could respond, a beam of light shot down from the center ship, touching the ground about 100 meters from where they stood. The light widened into a circle about 3 meters across. Within the circle of light, a figure appeared. It was tall, nearly 3 meters in height, with a slender body covered in what looked like plated armor. Its head was elongated with no visible nose, 4 glowing yellow eyes, and a small mouth. The being stood perfectly still, looking directly at the humans. "Is it really here, or is this a projection?" Kim whispered. As if in answer, the being took a step forward, leaving a footprint in the soil. Han straightened his uniform jacket and took a step toward the alien. "I am Captain Han Sung of Earth. We come in peace as settlers." The alien tilted its head. Then it raised a device that hung around its neck. When it spoke, the device translated its words into a mechanical-sounding voice. "I am Supreme Commander Raoul of the Vrex Imperium. You are trespassing on claimed territory." Han felt a chill run down his spine. "We detected no signs of settlement or claim markers when we arrived. Our scans showed no intelligent life forms on this planet. This sector has belonged to the Vrex Imperium for 2,000 of your years," the alien replied. "Your presence is unauthorized and illegal." Park stepped forward to stand beside Han. "We have nowhere else to go. Our journey took 20 years. We cannot return." The alien's 4 eyes blinked in sequence. "That is unfortunate for you. The laws of the Imperium are clear. Unauthorized colonies must be removed." "We're willing to negotiate," Han said quickly. "Perhaps we can arrange." "There is nothing to negotiate," the alien interrupted. "You have 1 rotation of this planet to gather your people and leave. After that, this colony will be eradicated." Before Han could respond, the alien stepped back into the circle of light and vanished. The beam retracted into the ship above. "What just happened?" Lee asked, joining them with a group of colonists. Han turned to face his people, seeing fear in their eyes. "We've encountered an alien civilization that claims ownership of this planet. They've given us 1 day to leave." "But we can't leave," someone in the crowd said. "The Dauntless doesn't have enough fuel for a return journey, and there's nowhere else to go in this system." "I know," Han said grimly. "That's why we're not leaving." "Park, what are our defensive capabilities?" Park crossed his arms. "Minimal. We have some point defense weapons for the colony and a few armed shuttles. Nothing that could challenge ships of that size." "Dr. Kim, what about the underground structure? Could it offer any help?" Han asked. Kim shook her head. "We've barely scratched the surface. We don't know what's down there or how to use any technology we might find." Han looked at the worried faces around him. These people had traveled farther than any humans in history to start a new life. He wouldn't let it end here. "Listen to me," he said loudly enough for everyone to hear. "We didn't come all this way to give up at the first challenge. If these aliens want this planet, they'll have to fight for it." "But how can we fight ships that size?" someone asked. "Together," Han replied. "We adapt. We improvise. We were the best Earth had to offer. Scientists, engineers, soldiers, doctors. Now we use every skill and every resource to defend our new home." He turned to his leadership team. "Park, organize our defenses. Kim, accelerate the exploration of the underground structure. We need every advantage we can get. Lee, see if you can repurpose our construction equipment for defense. Kang, analyze everything you can about their communications and technology." Han looked up at the 3 massive ships hovering in the sky. "They think this will be their first and last human colony. Let's prove them wrong." As the colonists dispersed to prepare, Han felt the weight of 5,000 lives on his shoulders. They had less than 24 hours to prepare for a battle against an advanced alien civilization. The odds seemed impossible, but humans had faced impossible odds before. And sometimes, just sometimes, they won. The emergency meeting began as soon as the alien commander disappeared. Captain Han gathered his leadership team in the newly built command center. Worry showed on every face around the table. "We have less than 24 hours, Han said, looking at each person in turn. "Tell me what we know and what we can do." Dr. Kim spoke first. "The aliens call themselves the Vrex Imperium. Based on their technology and what their commander said, they control multiple star systems. Their ships are massive," Commander Park added. "Each one probably has more firepower than everything we brought from Earth. A direct fight would be suicide." Han nodded grimly. "Kang, what can you tell us about their communications?" The communications expert pulled up data on her tablet. "They're using some kind of quantum-based system. Very advanced. But there's something interesting. I've detected unusual patterns in their shield harmonics. They cycle on a predictable frequency." "Could that be a weakness?" Han asked. "Maybe," Kang replied. "If we could match the frequency at the right moment, we might be able to slip something past their shields." Engineer Lee, who had been quiet until now, leaned forward. "Captain, I need to show you what we found underground." "You've entered the structure?" Han asked, surprised. "Yes. After the aliens appeared, I took a small team down while everyone else was preparing defenses." Lee's eyes were wide with excitement. "You won't believe what's down there." The underground entrance was a simple metal hatch that Lee's team had uncovered. It led to a tunnel sloping gently downward. Han, Park, Kim, and Kang followed Lee as he led them deeper beneath the colony. "We're about 30 meters down now," Lee said as they reached a massive door. Unlike the simple hatch above, this door was covered in intricate patterns that seemed to shift in the light of their lamps. Lee placed his hand on a panel beside the door. To everyone's surprise, the panel lit up with a blue glow, and the door silently slid open. "How did you do that?" Dr. Kim asked in amazement. "That's the strange part," Lee replied. "It only responds to human touch. We tried using tools to activate it, but nothing worked until one of my team touched it directly." They stepped through the doorway into a vast chamber that took their breath away. The space was at least 100 meters across, with a high domed ceiling. The walls were covered in the same shifting patterns as the door. In the center of the room stood various structures that looked like control stations. "What is this place?" Han whispered. "We think it's some kind of control center," Lee explained. "There are dozens of rooms connected to this one, filled with technology we can barely understand." Dr. Kim rushed to one of the control stations, her scientific curiosity overcoming her caution. "The symbols, they're not like anything I've seen before, but somehow they seem familiar." "There's more," Lee said. "Watch this." He approached another control panel and placed his hand on it. The entire room suddenly lit up with a soft blue glow. Holographic displays appeared above several stations, showing what looked like star maps and technical schematics. "Everything responds to human touch," Lee explained. "And look at this." He touched another panel, and a holographic image appeared in the center of the room. It showed a planet. Their planet, with a glowing blue shell surrounding it. "We think this is some kind of planetary defense system," Lee said, "but we haven't figured out how to activate it yet." Han turned to Dr. Kim. "Any theories about who built this?" Kim shook her head, her eyes still fixed on the holographic displays. "It's clearly advanced technology, thousands of years beyond Earth's capabilities. But why would it respond to human touch?" Commander Park had been examining the star maps. "Captain, look at this." The map showed their star system, with several points marked around the planet. As they watched, 3 new points appeared, exactly where the Vrex ships were positioned. "It's tracking them in real time," Park said. "Whatever this place is, it's still working after who knows how long." Han felt a mix of hope and confusion. We need to figure out how to use this technology. It might be our only chance against the Vrex. We've been trying, Lee admitted, but most of the controls aren't obvious. We can activate basic functions, but the more complex systems seem locked. Keep trying, Han ordered. Kim, focus your team on understanding this place. If there's a defense system here, we need to find it before the Vrex attack tomorrow. Back at the colony, the situation was becoming dire. The colonists worked frantically to prepare defenses, but everyone knew their weapons were no match for the alien ships hovering in the sky. Han called another meeting with his leadership team. Time for updates. Where do we stand? The underground facility is amazing, Dr. Kim reported. We've discovered rooms filled with what appear to be weapons, power sources, and other technology. But we're still struggling to activate most of it. We've converted our construction equipment into makeshift defenses, Lee added. The 3D printers are now producing simple projectile weapons using metal from our landing shuttles. My team has been analyzing the Vrex communications, Han said. They're talking constantly between ships. From what we can tell, they're surprised by us. Surprised? Han asked. In what way? They keep referring to us as the returning ones. They seem confused about how to deal with us. I think that's why they gave us time to leave instead of attacking immediately. Commander Park nodded thoughtfully. That makes sense. Their commander seemed startled when he saw us up close. What about our defenses? Han asked. We've positioned our strongest weapons around the colony center, Park replied. But honestly, they won't last more than a few minutes against those ships. Our best hope is the underground facility. Han made his decision. I want everyone focused on two things. First, finding a way to activate the defense systems in the underground facility. Second, preparing evacuation plans to move our people underground if we can't defend the surface. As the meeting ended, a young colonist rushed in. Captain, the aliens are sending another message. They hurried outside to see another beam of light descending from the Vrex command ship. This time, instead of the alien commander appearing, a holographic message played in the air before them. Humans, the mechanical translation voice said, you have 12 hours remaining to leave this planet. We have detected your attempts to access the forbidden technology beneath your colony. This is a further violation of Imperium law. If you continue, there will be no further warnings. Immediate destruction will follow. The message ended, leaving the colonists in stunned silence. They know about the underground facility, Park said grimly. And they're afraid of us accessing it, which means it must be powerful enough to threaten them, Han concluded. Double our efforts to understand that technology. It's our only hope now. In the underground facility, Dr. Kim and her team worked desperately to understand the ancient controls. Engineers and scientists studied every panel, documented every symbol, and tested every possible combination. There must be a key to all this, Kim muttered as she examined a central control station. Something we're missing. One of her team, a young scientist named Yoon, approached with a tablet. Doctor, I've been analyzing the patterns on the walls. They're not just decorations, they're data. I think they're instructions. Kim studied the tablet. You're right. But instructions for what? I believe they're genetic keys, Yoon explained. The system needs specific genetic markers to activate the main controls. Kim's eyes widened, and it responds to human touch because it was made for humans, Yoon finished, or by humans, or something very similar to humans. Kim immediately called Captain Han. We have a theory. The facility wasn't built by aliens. It was built by humans, or our ancestors, or something closely related to us. That's why it responds to our touch. How is that possible? Han asked. Humans never left Earth before our mission. I don't know, Kim admitted. But if we're right, it means we might be able to fully activate the systems. We just need to find the right combination. As night fell on the colony, tension continued to build. The 3 Vrex ships remained in position overhead, their hulls occasionally gleaming with energy discharges. a reminder of the weapons they carried. In the colony's communication center, Kang continued to monitor the alien transmissions. Suddenly, she noticed a new pattern. "Captain Han," she called over the comm. "The Vrex ships are changing positions. I think they're preparing to attack." Han checked the time. "We still have 7 hours until their deadline." "They lied," Kang said simply. "They're powering up weapons now." Han immediately activated the colony-wide alert system. "All colonists proceed to emergency shelters. This is not a drill. Defense teams to positions." He turned to Commander Park. "How long can we hold them off?" Park's face was grim. "Minutes at best. Our weapons might damage their smaller craft if they send them, but they can just stay in orbit and bomb us from above." "Then we need a miracle from the underground facility," Han said. "Let's go." They rushed to the facility, where Dr. Kim was directing a frantic effort to activate the defense systems. "We think we figured it out," she told Han as he arrived. "The main controls require a specific genetic marker that acts as a key. We've been testing blood samples from different colonists." "Have you found a match?" Han asked. "Not yet. We're working through." A violent tremor shook the facility, sending dust falling from the ceiling. "They've started bombing the surface," Park said, checking his comm unit. "Our outer defenses are already down." Another tremor, stronger this time. "We're running out of time," Han said. "How many people have you tested?" "About 50, Kim replied. "But there are specific patterns we're looking for based on the wall data. Not everyone needs to be tested." Han looked around at the frightened faces of the scientists. "Who haven't you tested yet?" "The leadership team, for one," Kim admitted. "We've been too busy directing everything." "Test us now," Han ordered. "Starting with me." Kim quickly took a sample of Han's blood and placed it on a scanning panel. The panel remained dark. She tested Park next. Nothing. Another tremor shook the facility, and emergency lights began flashing as power fluctuated. Kim tested herself. The panel remained dark. "Captain," Kang called from across the room. "The colony's main buildings have been hit. Casualties are reported." Han felt desperation rising. "Keep testing." Kang stepped forward to be tested next. When Kim placed her blood on the panel, it suddenly glowed bright blue. The entire facility came alive with light, and the holographic displays showed new information. "It worked," Kim exclaimed. "Kang is a match." "What do I do?" Kang asked, looking at the now active control panel. "The symbols indicate that you need to place both hands on the main panel and focus your thoughts on protection," Kim explained, reading from the wall patterns. Kang placed her hands on the glowing panel. The blue light intensified, spreading from her hands up her arms. She closed her eyes, concentrating. "The planetary defense system is activating," Kim reported, watching the holographic display. "It's generating a shield around the entire colony." On the surface, the colonists watched in awe as a blue energy field rose from the ground, spreading outward and upward until it formed a dome over the colony. The next bombs from the Vrex ships hit the shield and dissipated harmlessly. In the Vrex command ship, Supreme Commander Raoul watched with growing alarm as his weapons failed to penetrate the shield. "Impossible," he hissed. "The ancient protector's technology was disabled centuries ago. How have these humans activated it?" His second-in-command approached cautiously. "Supreme Commander, our sensors detect energy building beneath the human colony. The readings match those of the ancient protector's counterattack systems." Raoul's 4 eyes widened. "Cease fire immediately. Pull our ships back to a safe distance." The Vrex ships hurriedly changed position, moving away from the colony and higher into the atmosphere. Just in time, a powerful energy pulse shot up from the colony, barely missing the retreating ships. "The humans have weapons now," Raoul said quietly. "This changes everything." Back in the underground facility, Kang had collapsed after channeling the energy for the shield and counterattack. Medics attended to her, while Han and the others watched the holographic display showing the Vrex ships retreating. It worked, Park said in amazement. They're backing off. For now, Han cautioned. But they'll be back with reinforcements. Dr. Kim was studying the newly activated displays. Captain, there's much more here than just defensive weapons. There are star maps, technological schematics, historical records. This is an entire archive of advanced knowledge. Can you access it now? Han asked. Yes, now that the system is fully activated. And there's something else. Kim touched a control, and a new hologram appeared, a recording of a human-like figure speaking. Though the language was strange, the facility's systems translated it automatically. This message is for our descendants when they return to the stars, the figure said. We, the first wave of humanity, established outposts on many worlds, including this one. But the enemy found us, and we were forced to retreat. We left these facilities hidden and protected, to await the day when humans would once again reach for the stars. The genetic keys will respond only to those with the ancient bloodlines. If you are hearing this message, it means you carry our legacy. Use what we left behind to defend yourselves, and to reclaim humanity's place among the stars. The message ended, leaving them all staring in shock. So humans have been to the stars before, Han said quietly. Long ago. And we forgot, Kim added. Or the knowledge was lost somehow. The Vrex called us the returning ones, Kang said weakly from where she lay. They knew. Han looked at the retreating Vrex ships on the display. They fear us because they know what humans are capable of. Commander Park smiled for the first time since the Vrex had appeared. And they should be afraid. What now? Kim asked. Han stood straight, his resolve strengthened by this new knowledge. Now we learn everything we can from this facility. We build our defenses. We prepare for their return. Lee, who had been quiet, spoke up. Captain, there's something else you should see. He led them to another room they hadn't explored before. Inside was what appeared to be a shipyard, with partially completed vessels that dwarfed anything humanity had built before. The first wave left us more than just weapons, Lee said. They left us the means to build our own fleet. Han walked slowly among the ancient ship frames, feeling a connection to these long-lost ancestors who had traveled the stars millennia before his own journey. The Vrex thought this would be the first and last human colony in their territory, Han said. They were wrong on both counts. It's not the first. Humans were here before them, and it won't be the last. He turned to his team, determination in his eyes. Send a message to Earth. Tell them what we found. Tell them we're not alone in the universe, but we're not defenseless either. Above them, the Vrex ships hovered at a safe distance, uncertain how to proceed against an enemy they had thought long defeated. The humans had returned to the stars, and this time they would not retreat. 3 days passed since the first attack. The shield over the colony remained strong, powered by the ancient technology beneath the surface. The Vrex ships stayed in orbit, keeping their distance but never leaving. Sometimes more ships arrived, joining the growing fleet above the planet. Captain Han stood in the underground facility's main control room, studying the holographic display of the Vrex fleet. 7 large ships now orbited their world. Each day brought new arrivals. They're gathering their forces, Commander Park said as he joined Han. Soon they'll have enough firepower to test even the ancient shields. Han nodded grimly. We can't stay on defense forever. How are our preparations coming? Dr. Kim and her team have decoded more of the ancient database. They understand about 60% of the technology now. Engineer Lee has started production on new weapons using the facility's manufacturing systems. And Kang, still training with the genetic interface. The more she uses it, the stronger her connection becomes. She can control most of the facility's systems now. Han turned away from the display. We need to do more than just defend. We need a plan to drive the Vrex away permanently. You're thinking of attacking their ships? Park asked, raising an eyebrow. I'm thinking we need to show them that humans aren't easy prey. The longer we wait, the more ships they'll bring. Park considered this. The ancient facility has shuttles we could modify with the new weapons. Small teams might be able to reach the Vrex ships. Exactly, Han said. Assemble a strike team. Your best people. We're going to hit back. In another part of the facility, Kang sat cross-legged on the floor, her eyes closed in concentration. Around her, holographic displays floated in the air, responding to her thoughts. Dr. Kim watched from nearby, taking notes. The neural connection is getting stronger, Kim observed. Your control is improving. Kang opened her eyes, and the displays dimmed slightly. I can feel the whole system now. It's like it's part of me. She looked tired but excited. I found something new in the database. Information about the Vrex. What kind of information? History. The ancient humans fought them before. The Vrex were already old when humans first reached the stars. They'd been conquering worlds for thousands of years. Did the database say how the ancients fought them? Kim asked. Kang nodded. They used the Vrex's own hierarchy against them. The Vrex follow strict command structures. If you remove their leaders, the rest become disorganized. Kim immediately called Captain Han. We may have found a weakness in the Vrex. In the facility's manufacturing area, Engineer Lee supervised the production of new weapons. The ancient machines worked with incredible speed and precision, creating devices far beyond Earth's technology. These are ready for testing, Lee told Han and Park as they arrived. Lee held up what looked like a small silver disc. The database calls it a shield disruptor. It can create a temporary gap in energy shields by matching and canceling their frequency. Will it work on the Vrex ships? Park asked. According to the simulations, yes, but we'll only know for sure when we try it. Han picked up one of the discs. What else do we have? Lee led them to another table where several pistol-like devices were laid out. Energy weapons, more powerful than anything we brought from Earth. And these, Lee pointed to what looked like silver backpacks, are personal shield generators. They'll give the wearer about 15 minutes of protection against Vrex weapons. Good work, Han said. How soon can we equip a strike team? We have enough for 12 people now. More will be ready tomorrow. Han nodded. Commander Park will select the team. We move in 24 hours. In the command center, Han gathered his leadership team to explain the plan. We can't win a defensive war, he began. The Vrex can bring in reinforcements indefinitely. We need to take the fight to them. You're proposing a direct assault on their ships? Kim asked, concerned. Not all of them, Han clarified. Just the command ship. Kang has discovered that the Vrex rely heavily on their command structure. If we can capture or eliminate their leader, it may give us leverage to negotiate. Capture, not kill, Kang emphasized. The Vrex respect strength, but they also follow strict codes. Taking a commander prisoner would shock their entire fleet. How do we get aboard their command ship? Lee asked. Commander Park brought up a holographic display. We'll use 3 of the ancient shuttles, each modified with the new weapons and shielded using the technology Kang has helped us understand. A team of 4 in each shuttle. Park shook his head. With respect, Captain, you're needed here. I should lead the assault. We both go, Han decided. Kim stays to run the colony. Lee to manage the facility. Kang to maintain the shields and provide technical support from here. The plan is simple, Park continued. We approach their command ship using the shield disruptors to create entry points. Team 1 secures the landing area. Team 2 targets their engineering section to disable weapons. Team 3, led by the captain and myself, heads for the command center to capture their leader. What about their other ships? Kim asked. Kang will use the planetary defense system to keep them occupied, Han explained. The moment we launch, she'll activate the weapons to target the secondary ships. That should keep them too busy to help their command ship. It's risky, Lee said quietly. Everything about our situation is risky, Han replied. But the alternative is waiting for them to overwhelm us. The team discussed details for another hour before finalizing the plan. Tomorrow, Humans would launch their first attack against an alien fleet. That night, Han couldn't sleep. He walked through the colony, now mostly empty as most colonists had moved underground for safety. The shield dome glowed softly overhead, a constant reminder of the enemy waiting above. He found Kang sitting alone on a hill, looking up at the stars. "Shouldn't you be resting?" he asked, sitting beside her. "I tried," she replied. "But every time I close my eyes, I feel the ancient systems calling to me." She looked at him. "It's changing me, Captain. The neural interface. It's putting knowledge directly into my mind." "Is it dangerous?" "I don't think so. It feels right somehow, like the knowledge was always meant to be there." She paused. "I found more information about the ancient humans. They called themselves the First Wave. They colonized dozens of worlds before the Vrex drove them back to Earth. And their knowledge was lost," Han said. "Not lost. Hidden. They buried it deep in our genetic code, waiting for the right time to return." Kang looked up at the Vrex ships visible through the shield. They knew we would face the Vrex again someday. Han considered this, so this conflict was inevitable. "Yes, but this time, we have their knowledge." Kang turned to face him. "Captain, there's something else. The database contains coordinates for other facilities like this one. On other worlds, if we can drive the Vrex away, we could find those facilities. First, we need to survive tomorrow," Han said, standing. "Get some rest, Kang. We'll need you at full strength." Morning came too quickly. The strike teams gathered in the ancient facility's hangar where 3 shuttles waited. They were sleek silver craft, redesigned using the facility's technology. Each was armed with energy weapons and protected by shields far stronger than anything humans had built before. Commander Park briefed the teams one last time. "Remember your objectives. Team 1 secures the landing zone. Team 2 disables their weapons. Team 3 captures their leader. We go in fast, complete our objectives, and get out. No heroics." The 12 men and women of the strike force checked their equipment. Each wore a silver suit of armor created by the facility's machines. Each carried energy weapons and shield disruptors. Captain Han addressed them before they boarded. "Today, we show the Vrex the humans are not easy targets. We show them that coming to our world was a mistake. But remember, our goal is to end this conflict, not escalate it. Capture, don't kill, unless absolutely necessary." The teams boarded their shuttles. Han and Park took the lead shuttle with 2 experienced soldiers. In the control room, Kang connected to the facility systems, ready to coordinate the attack. "Shield status?" Han asked over the comm. "Shields at full strength," Kang replied. "I'm ready to create a gap for launch and activate the defense systems against their fleet. On your mark, Kang." Kang closed her eyes, focusing her mind through the neural interface. The facility hummed with power as she directed energy through ancient systems. Above the colony, a section of the shield dome briefly opened. "Now," she commanded. The 3 shuttles launched, shooting through the gap in the shield. It closed immediately behind them as they accelerated toward the Vrex command ship. The moment the shuttles were clear, Kang activated the planetary defense weapons. Beams of blue energy shot up from the surface, targeting the smaller Vrex ships, not to destroy them, but to keep them occupied and pull them away from the command ship. "We're away," Han reported from the lead shuttle. "Approaching target. No pursuit yet." The Vrex had been caught by surprise. Their smaller ships scattered as the planetary defenses targeted them. The massive command ship began to power up its weapons, but the human shuttles were already too close. "Shields holding," Park reported as the Vrex ship fired. "Approaching entry point. Prepare disruptors." The strike team activated their shield disruptors. The small silver discs projected energy fields that matched and canceled the frequencies of the Vrex shields. 3 small gaps appeared in the massive ship's defenses. "Team 1, go," Han ordered. The first shuttle darted through a gap. heading for a docking bay on the lower section of the Vrex ship. As it approached, the bay doors began to close. "They're sealing the bay," the Team 1 leader reported. "Going to Plan B." The shuttle fired its weapons at the partially closed doors, creating an explosion that disabled the door mechanism. The shuttle slipped through into the hangar bay. Immediately, the team deployed, firing at surprised Vrex guards and securing the area. "Team 1 in position," came the report. "Bay secured. Teams 2 and 3, approach vector clear." The second and third shuttles followed, entering through the damaged bay doors. Team 2 immediately headed for the ship's engineering section, while Han and Park led Team 3 toward the command center. Inside the Vrex ship, alarms blared as the crew responded to the unexpected human attack. The corridors were massive, designed for the taller Vrex bodies. The human teams used this to their advantage, keeping to the edges and using smaller access tunnels when possible. Han and Park led their team through the maze-like ship, following maps that Kang had extracted from the ancient database. "The command center should be 2 levels up," Han said, checking a small holographic projector on his wrist. "Guards ahead," one of their team warned. 4 Vrex soldiers appeared at the end of the corridor, their weapons raised. Before they could fire, Park activated a small device. A pulse of energy shot out, temporarily disabling the Vrex weapons. "Non-lethal takedown," Han ordered. The team fired stun weapons, dropping the Vrex guards without killing them. As they passed the unconscious aliens, Han noted their armor and features. Up close, the Vrex were even more imposing, nearly 3 meters tall with muscular bodies protected by advanced armor. "Team 2 reporting," came a voice over the comm. "We've reached engineering. Planting disruptors now." "Good," Han replied. "Set them to disable weapons only. We don't want to destroy the ship while we're on it." They reached a large door that the map indicated was the entrance to the command center. 2 more Vrex guards stood watch, but they had already raised their weapons, alerted by the alarms. Energy blasts shot toward the humans. Park raised his arm, activating his personal shield. The blasts dissipated harmlessly against the energy field. "Take them down," he ordered. The team fired in unison, stunning the guards. As they approached the door, Han placed a shield disruptor on the control panel. The door's locking mechanism failed, and it slid open. Inside was the Vrex command center, a large, circular room with control stations and display screens. Standing in the center was Supreme Commander Rao, surrounded by a dozen officers. "Secure the room," Han ordered. The team moved quickly, stunning Vrex officers before they could reach weapons. Within seconds, only Rao remained standing. The Vrex commander looked down at the humans with his 4 yellow eyes. "You dare to board my ship? This violation will cost you your colony and your lives." "I don't think so," Han replied calmly. "Your weapons are being disabled as we speak. Your officers are incapacitated, and your fleet is busy avoiding our planetary defenses." Raul moved his hand toward what appeared to be a weapon at his side. Park immediately raised his own weapon. "I wouldn't," Park warned. "We came to talk, not to kill. But we will if necessary." Raul slowly lowered his hand. "What do you want, human?" "Recognition," Han said. "Recognition that this planet is now a human colony. Recognition that we have the right to exist here." "This sector belongs to the Vrex Imperium," Raul insisted. "It has for thousands of years." "Actually," Han countered, "it belonged to humans long before that. The first wave was here before your people claimed this sector." At the mention of the first wave, Raul's posture changed. A ripple of what might have been fear passed through his body. "The first wave is gone," Raul said quietly. "They retreated centuries ago. They left behind their knowledge," Han replied. "Knowledge we've now reclaimed. The planetary defense system is just the beginning." At that moment, the ship shuddered. The lights flickered briefly. "Team 2 reporting," came a voice over Han's comm. "Weapons systems successfully disabled." Han smiled at Raul. "Now let's discuss terms." Back at the colony, Kang maintained the planetary defenses, keeping the Vrex fleet at bay while monitoring the strike team's progress. Dr. Kim and Engineer Lee watched anxiously as the holographic display showed the situation in orbit. Team 3 has reached the command center, Kang reported, her eyes closed as she processed information from her neural link. They have the Supreme Commander. Any response from the other Vrex ships? Kim asked. They're maintaining position. Without orders from their commander, they seem reluctant to act. Lee studied the display, just as the database predicted. Their hierarchy is their weakness. A new alert appeared on the display. More Vrex ships entering the system, Kang reported. 5. No, 7 new vessels. Reinforcements, Kim said grimly. Can our defenses handle that many? Not indefinitely, Kang admitted. We need the strike team to succeed quickly. On the Vrex command ship, Han and Park had seated Ral at one of the control stations. The other Vrex officers remained unconscious, guarded by the human team. Your position is not as strong as you believe, Ral said. More ships are arriving. Even with our weapons disabled, they can destroy your shuttles when you try to leave. Perhaps, Han acknowledged. But what would happen to you? I would die in service to the Imperium. And who would take your place? Han asked. Would they be as respected, as experienced? Would the Imperium be stronger without you? Ral was silent, considering this. We don't want to kill you, Han continued. We don't even want to fight the Vrex. All we want is to be left in peace on our world. You activated forbidden technology, Ral countered. The agreements after the First Wave War prohibited the use of those defense systems. Agreements that humans weren't part of, Park pointed out. Our ancestors forgot about the First Wave. We came here not knowing the history. But now that we know, we can discuss new agreements. Han leaned forward. Supreme Commander, you have 2 choices. Continue this fight, which will cost many lives on both sides with no guarantee of victory. Or recognize our colony, establish diplomatic relations, and return to your Imperium with your fleet intact. The Imperium does not negotiate with lesser species, Ral said, but with less conviction than before. We're not lesser, Han replied firmly. Your own legends about the First Wave prove that. And now we're back among the stars. The question is, will the Vrex Imperium be our enemy or our neighbor? Before Ral could answer, Han's comm activated. Captain. Kang's voice came through with urgency. More Vrex ships have entered the system. At least 12 vessels now in orbit. Our defenses are holding for now, but I don't know for how long. Han looked at Ral. Time to decide, Commander. Peace or war? Ral's 4 eyes blinked in sequence. A gesture Han had learned indicated deep thought among the Vrex. Finally, the alien commander spoke. I will send a message to the fleet. A temporary ceasefire while we discuss terms. Han nodded. A wise decision. Ral moved to a communication console. Under Park's watchful eye, the Vrex commander sent a message to his fleet. Almost immediately, the attacking ships pulled back. They will hold position awaiting my orders, Ral said. Now, what are your terms? Simple, Han replied. The planet becomes recognized human territory. Your ships withdraw from orbit. In return, we don't share the ancient weapons technology with other human colonies. There are no other human colonies, Ral said. Han smiled. Not yet, but there will be. The Vrex commander considered for a long moment. I will agree to recognize your claim to this planet only. Any expansion will require new negotiations with the Imperium. Agreed, Han said. We'll establish diplomatic protocols for future contact. The ancient technology must be contained, Ral insisted. It cannot be allowed to spread. We won't use it aggressively, Han promised. Only for defense. After more discussion, they reached preliminary terms. The Vrex would recognize the human colony and withdraw their ships. Diplomatic channels would be established for future communication. The humans would contain the ancient technology to their planet. As Han prepared to leave with his team, Ral offered one final warning. You may have won this confrontation, Captain Han, but the Imperium has many worlds, many ships. This is not the end. No, Han agreed. It's just the beginning. 1 month had passed since the confrontation with the Frex fleet. The colony, now named New Dawn, had changed dramatically. Buildings that were once simple shelters had been rebuilt using technology from the ancient facility. The colony's center now featured a tall tower that served as both a communication hub and a symbol of human achievement. Captain Han stood on the tower's observation deck, looking out over the growing settlement. What had begun as a desperate attempt to survive had become humanity's first successful extrasolar colony. And soon, it would be much more. Commander Park joined him, carrying 2 cups of coffee, a luxury they had almost run out of until they figured out how to grow a local plant with similar properties. The last Vrex ship left orbit this morning, Park reported, handing Han a cup. Their observer team is still at the diplomatic outpost, but they've withdrawn their military presence as agreed. Han nodded. For now, I don't trust them to stay away forever. Neither do I. That's why we're not slowing down our preparations. In the month since the treaty was signed, the colonists had worked tirelessly to strengthen their position. The ancient facility had become the center of their operations, providing technology and knowledge that would have taken Earth centuries to develop. How is the construction coming? Han asked. Lee says the first new ship will be ready for testing next week, Park replied. It's not as large as the Vrex vessels, but it's far more advanced than anything we brought from Earth. Han sipped his coffee, feeling a mixture of pride and concern. And the communications array. Almost complete. Kang believes we'll be able to send a message to Earth within days. This was the development Han was most excited about. When the Dauntless had left Earth 20 years ago, they had no way to communicate across such vast distances. But the ancient technology included faster-than-light communication systems that could bridge the 4.2 light-years between their new world and Earth. What will you tell them? Park asked quietly. Han had been considering this question for weeks. The truth. That we found this world as planned. That we encountered an alien civilization. That we discovered our own ancestors had been here before us. He paused. And that we found technology that will change humanity's future forever. In the underground facility, Dr. Kim led a team of scientists studying the ancient database. Each day brought new discoveries, new understanding of the technology left behind by the first wave. Doctor, I think you should see this, called one of her researchers, a young woman named Yoon. Kim joined her at a holographic display showing what appeared to be star maps. What am I looking at? I've been translating more of the location data, Yoon explained. These aren't just random stars. They're specific coordinates for other first-wave outposts. Kim studied the display with growing excitement. How many? 27 within 100 light-years of here, Yoon replied. And based on the database, each one contains technology and information similar to what we found here. This was a breakthrough. If there were more facilities like this one, spread across nearby star systems, it meant humanity could expand much faster than they had ever dreamed possible. We need to tell Captain Han immediately, Kim said. This changes everything. In another section of the facility, Kang sat in what they now called the interface chamber. Around her, holographic displays showed various systems throughout the colony. Through her genetic connection to the ancient technology, she could monitor and control these systems with a thought. Engineer Lee entered the chamber, carrying a datapad. How are you feeling today? He asked. Kang opened her eyes, the holographic displays dimming slightly. Better. I'm getting used to the neural load. She smiled. The ancestral memories are becoming clearer. This had been an unexpected development. As Kang spent more time connected to the interface, she began experiencing what seemed to be memories, not her own, but those of the ancient humans who had built the facility. The genetic key that allowed her to access the systems also carried fragments of their knowledge and experiences. Any headaches? Lee asked, concerned. The first few times Kang had interfaced with the system, she had suffered severe migraines afterward. No, the adjustments you made to the interface helped. She glanced at his datavat. Is that the final design for the ship? Lee showed her the screen. Yes. We're calling it the Pioneer *. Not as large as we'd like, but it's a start. The design showed a sleek vessel about twice the size of the shuttles they had used against the Orcs. It incorporated the ancient technology, including faster-than-light drives that would allow it to reach Earth in weeks rather than decades. It's beautiful, Kang said. When will it be ready to test? The main construction is complete. We're finishing the internal systems now. Lee paused. Captain Han wants you to be part of the first crew. Kang looked surprised. Me? Why? Because of your connection to the ancient systems. The ship uses the same interface technology. He thinks you might be able to operate it more effectively than anyone else. Kang considered this. The thought of leaving the colony made her nervous. Her role here was established and important. But the idea of being among the first humans to pilot an advanced starship was exciting. I'll talk to him about it, she said finally. Captain Han called a meeting of the colony leadership to discuss Dr. Kim's discovery. They gathered in the facility's main conference room, where a large holographic display showed the star map with the marked locations of other first-wave outposts. 27 facilities within reach, Han said, studying the map, each potentially containing technology and knowledge like what we found here. This changes our entire future, Kim said excitedly. With this network of outposts, we could establish a human presence across dozens of star systems within years, not centuries. Assuming the Vreks don't stop us, Park cautioned. They've agreed to recognize our claim to this planet, but they'll see expansion as a threat. Which is why we need to move quickly but carefully, Han replied. Our first priority is establishing contact with Earth. Once we share what we've learned, Earth can prepare for what's coming. And what is coming? Lee asked. Han looked around at their faces. Change. Humanity is about to take its place among the stars, centuries ahead of schedule. We're going to face challenges we can't even imagine yet. The Vreks aren't the only alien civilization out there, Kang added. The ancestral memories I've accessed mention many others, some friendly, some hostile, some simply different. All the more reason to strengthen our position, Park said. We should establish outposts at the nearest first-wave facilities as soon as possible. Agreed, Han nodded. Lee, how soon can we have more ships ready? With the automated construction systems in the facility, we could have 3 more vessels the size of the Pioneer *, completed within 2 months, Lee replied. Larger ships would take longer. Start construction immediately, Han ordered. Dr. Kim, focus your team on translating the navigational data for the nearest outposts. We'll send exploration teams as soon as the ships are ready. The meeting continued as they discussed details of their expansion plan. By the end, they had outlined an ambitious strategy for humanity's growth beyond their single colony. A week later, the communications array was complete. Built using the ancient technology, the massive structure rose from the colony's central tower, capable of sending faster-than-light messages across interstellar distances. Han stood in the communications center as the system powered up for its first test. Kang sat at the main control station, her hands on the interface panels. System is online, she reported. Targeting Earth coordinates now. The room hummed with energy as the array focused its beam toward the distant solar system. Everyone held their breath, waiting to see if 20 years of isolation were about to end. Connection established, Kang announced. We have a channel to Earth. A cheer went up from the technicians. Han stepped forward. Record mode, please. Kang activated the recording system, then nodded to Han. Ready, Captain. Han took a deep breath and began speaking. This is Captain Han's song of the colony ship Dauntless *, now established as the colony of New Dawn at Proxima Centauri. Our mission was successful. We have established humanity's first extrasolar colony. He paused, considering his next words carefully. What he said now would change humanity's path forever. During our settlement, we discovered something extraordinary. This planet was once home to an advanced human civilization that existed thousands of years ago. They left behind technology and knowledge far beyond our current capabilities. Using this technology, we have established faster-than-light communications, which is how you are receiving this message. Han went on to explain about the Frex, the confrontation, and the treaty they had established. He described the network of ancient outposts waiting to be reclaimed and the opportunities they presented. We are sending detailed scientific and technical data along with this message, he continued. I urge Earth's leaders to study this information carefully and prepare for a new era of human expansion. We have the stars within our grasp now. The Pioneer *, our first FTL-capable ship, will depart for Earth within 1 month. Expect our arrival approximately 3 weeks after you receive this message. He ended with a personal note. To the families of our colonists, your loved ones are safe and thriving on a new world. Soon, the vast distances between us will no longer keep us apart. This is Captain Han Sung of New Dawn Colony. Message complete. Kang ended the recording. Transmission sent, she confirmed. It will reach Earth in 4.2 years. Not quite. Han smiled. The message is traveling FTL. According to the ancient calculations, it should arrive in approximately 3 days. This realization, that they could now communicate with Earth in days rather than years, left everyone in the room stunned. The isolation that had defined their mission was suddenly over. As preparations for the Pioneer's maiden voyage continued, the Vrex diplomatic team requested a meeting with Captain Han. The meeting took place in a neutral building at the edge of the colony, where 3 Vrex representatives awaited him. Captain Han, the lead diplomat, greeted him, using a translation device. My superiors have instructed me to express concerns about certain activities in your colony. What concerns? Han asked, though he suspected he knew. Our observers have noted construction of what appear to be vessels with interstellar capabilities. This was not part of our agreement. Han remained calm. Our agreement was that we would not share the ancient weapons technology. We made no promises about restricting our movement or development. The Imperium views any expansion beyond this system as a potential violation of territorial boundaries, the Vrex diplomat stated. Your boundaries were set against the first-wave humans thousands of years ago, Han countered. Those agreements were not made with us. We are simply reclaiming what was once ours. The Vrex diplomat's 4 eyes blinked in the sequential pattern that indicated distress. This position will not be accepted by the Imperium Council. There will be consequences. There always are when things change, Han replied evenly. But consider this. We activated one ancient facility and successfully defended against your fleet. There are many more such facilities within reach. The Imperium can choose to accept humanity as a new power in this region of space, or it can choose conflict. I suggest the former would be better for both our peoples. The meeting ended without resolution, but Han hadn't expected one. The Vrex would report to their superiors, and the Imperium would debate how to respond. By the time they decided, he hoped to have established contact with Earth and begun expanding to nearby systems. The day of the Pioneer's launch arrived. The ship sat on a newly constructed launch pad near the colony center, its sleek hull gleaming in the morning sunlight. It wasn't large by the standards of the ancient designs, only about 50 meters long, but it represented humanity's first true starship. A crowd gathered to witness the historic event. Han had selected a crew of 8 for the mission to Earth. Commander Park as mission leader, Kang as systems specialist, due to her unique connection with the technology, and 6 others with various technical skills. Are you sure you don't want to go? Park asked Han as they completed the final pre-launch checks. You should be the one to deliver the news to Earth. Han shook his head. My place is here, building what we've started. Besides, you were Earth's top military commander before joining this mission. They'll listen to you. The crew boarded the vessel as the colonists cheered. Inside, Kang took her position at the control interface, placing her hands on panels similar to those in the ancient facility. Connection established, she reported as the ship's systems linked with her mind, all systems online and functioning normally. Park took the captain's chair. Begin launch sequence. The Pioneer rose silently from the pad, its anti-gravity systems allowing it to lift without the explosive thrust of chemical rockets. It hovered briefly above the colony, then accelerated upward through the atmosphere. In the colony command center, Han watched the ship's progress on a holographic display. Status report, he asked the monitoring team. They've cleared the atmosphere, came the response. All systems nominal. Preparing for FTL jump. Minutes later, the Pioneer reached a safe distance from the planet. On board, Park gave the order they had all been waiting for. Activate FTL drive. Kang interfaced with the ship's systems, channeling power to the drive that would bend space around them. FTL drive activating. Jump in 3, 2, 1. The Pioneer seemed to stretch for an instant, then vanished in a flash of light. For the first time in history, humans had traveled faster than light. Back in the colony, a cheer erupted as the sensors confirmed a successful jump. Han smiled, knowing that nothing would ever be the same again. In the weeks that followed, the colony of New Dawn continued to grow and develop. 2 more ships were under construction. Teams of scientists worked around the clock studying the ancient database. The findings from Dr. Kim's research team flowed in a constant stream of revelations. Han stood on the observation tower one evening, watching the sun set over the colony he had helped establish. 20 years ago, when they left Earth, he had imagined building a small outpost that might one day grow into a city. Now he was overseeing the birth of an interstellar civilization. A message arrived from his communication officer. Captain, we're receiving a transmission from Earth. They got our message. Han's heart raced as he headed to the communications center. After waiting for the technicians to establish the connection, he heard a voice he never expected to hear again. The voice of the United Earth Council President. Captain Han, this is President Choi. Your message has caused quite a stir here on Earth. I'm speaking to you just hours after receiving it, which itself seems miraculous. The data you sent is being analyzed by our best scientists, but the implications are clear. Humanity's future has changed overnight. The President continued, the Council has unanimously voted to support your expansion efforts. We're already preparing mission teams to join you once the Pioneer arrives with the necessary technical specifications. What you've discovered isn't just a new home for humanity. It's our birthright among the stars. As Han listened to the President's message, he felt a weight lift from his shoulders. Earth understood the significance of their discoveries. They would have support for what came next. The Vrex Imperium may think this will be the first and last human colony in their territory, the President concluded. But history has shown that humans don't stay confined for long. The stars are calling us home, Captain Han. And this time, we're going to answer. Han smiled as the transmission ended. The Vrex had been wrong. This wouldn't be the first and last human colony. It was just the beginning of humanity's return to the stars. And this time, they were here to stay.